There was an injury collision involving a semi truck and a motorcycle near Independence on June 12th at approximately 1 p.m. The motorcycle rider, Justin Verzani of Ponca, oh, no, I'm sorry, that was Justin Verzana of Ponca, Nebraska, was driving a tractor trailer combination of vehicles northbound on US 395. He had pulled over to the right shoulder near Dusty Lane just north of Fort Independence. James Bennett of Oxnard, California, was riding his motorcycle northbound on US 395 in the number 1 lane and was approaching the tractor trailer from the south. As Bennett approached, Verzani began a U-turn to southbound US 395 across the northbound lanes at the intersection of Dusty Lane. Bennett applied his brakes and swerved, but was unable to avoid a collision with the tractor trailer. The collision caused Bennett and the Harley Davidson he was riding to fall to the ground. Bennett was transported to the Southern Inyo Hospital for major injuries. The following agencies were on the scene and assisted with the accident scene: Bishop CHP, Inyo County Sheriff, and the Independence Volunteer Fire Department. Yosemite National Park reopened on Saturday, June 13th, after being closed for an unprecedented 83 days in its 130-year history because of the coronavirus. On average, about 488,000 people visited Yosemite last June 2019, with a yearly total of almost 4.6 million tourists. All the national parks across the country, including Yosemite, are taking a phased-in approach to gradually reopen parts of the park with new rules and protocols that are designed to keep both visitors and employees safe. Visitors will need a day permit to get in, or an overnight reservation, or a wilderness permit to enter the park, which typically on a normal June day in the past would have seen the popular park packed with visitors. Not so this year with the restrictions in place. When Redd's Meadow and Mammoth Lakes Basin will be open is unclear. On a special note to local residents of the Eastern Sierra, local zip codes can still pass through the park, as has been the case in the past, using 120 as a state highway on their way to and from the Eastern Sierra, as long as you just don't spend time in the park or go into the valley. Acting Park Supervisor Cicely Muldoon said in a statement, "There's no place like Yosemite, and we can't wait to welcome visitors back," and then went on to say, "It's going to be a very different kind of summer." Popular landmarks like Glacier Point, Mariposa Grove of the giant sequoias, Hetchy, and Tuolumne Meadows are open, as are most of the trails. The museums, however, and visitor centers will remain closed, and park shuttles around the Yosemite Valley and at Mariposa Grove will not be operating this summer. But the biggest change is the restriction on allowing only 1,700 vehicles a day into the park. That is half the number of visitors from the number that usually turns up in June. So, as a word of caution, don't just expect to be able to just show up and get in, as you might have in the past. Day passes are $35 for an entry pass and vehicle permit at recreation.gov. Vehicle permits are required even for a drive through the park on Tioga Road, which will be opened on Monday. If you have an overnight reservation or backcountry hiking permit, you don't need to get a vehicle permit. Yosemite Valley Lodge, Curry Village, and Awane are open. Upper Pines Campground, which is the only campground open in the park, is limited to 50% capacity. The other campgrounds remain closed because the park doesn't have enough staff to maintain them. The park did open on June 5th to hikers who had permits to hike up the Half Dome or access the wilderness. Visitors are asked to follow Center for Disease Control and Prevention social distancing guidelines and stay at least 6 feet away from others, whether on the trail or in a parking lot, and please wear a face covering when you can't social distance. So, if you plan to visit Yosemite National Park, be aware there is restricted access, very limited camping. Big Trees Lodge in Wawona will remain closed for the season because of virus restrictions. The Yosemite Valley trams are not running, and you must follow social distancing guidelines. We'll be right back with more news and Dennis Macton's weather.